I'm knitwear designer Karina Spencer, and this is my Zuzu's Petals Cowlette pattern. A cowlette is a special kind of hybrid design that combines the appearance of a small shawl with the wearability of a cowl. This one includes instructions for 4 gauges to accommodate all weights of yarn, from sock to super bulky. The pattern starts out worked flat like a top-down shawl and is later joined and worked in the round in a lace pattern to the bottom edge. In this video, I'm going to show you how to work all the tricky bits in the pattern and how to properly block it while I knit this miniature version for my dog. And by the way, the modifications for the miniature version are included in the pattern. So let's get started with step 1 in the pattern, the garter tab cast on. The first step of the garter tab cast on is to cast on 2 stitches. You can start with a slip knot or just lay the yarn over the needle like I do and give it a twist before casting on 1 more stitch. After you cast on your 2 stitches, you will knit 6 rows. On the next row, you'll knit 2 and then rotate your work 90 degrees clockwise and pick up and knit 3 stitches along the selvage edge, 1 in each garter ridge. The garter ridges are these little bumps and they're pretty easy to see, so you just pick one up with your left needle and knit it, and that's 1 stitch picked up and knit. Repeat those steps 2 more times till you have 3 stitches picked up and knit along the selvage edge. The next step is to turn your work 90 degrees clockwise again, and with the same process, pick up and knit 2 stitches along the cast-on edge, 1 in each cast-on stitch. And if you can't determine which stitches along the edge are the cast-on stitches, you can really just pick up anything along there and knit into it, and it will work out just fine. Once you've completed your garter tab cast on, you should have 7 stitches on your needle. Turn your work to work row 1. Row 1 is a wrong side row, and on this row we're going to place our markers. The instructions have you knit 2, purl 1, and place your first marker. The markers mark the center stitch, and there is shaping on each side of the center stitch on every right side row, which creates the triangle shape of the top of the cowlette. Purl to the last 2 stitches and knit 2. Turn your work to the right side. Knit 2, yarn over, and knit to the marker. Yarn over and slip the marker, and here you want to be very careful to keep your yarn over on the correct side of the marker as you work through the repeats of these rows. Knit the center stitch, slip the marker, yarn over, knit to the last 2 stitches, yarn over, knit 2. Turn your work back to the wrong side. Knit 2, purl to the last 2 stitches, slipping the markers as you come to them, and knit the last 2 stitches. And from here, it's pretty much smooth sailing for a while you just repeat those 2 rows until it's time to join in the round. The join in the round row is worked the same as any other right side row up to this point until you get to the last stitch. The last stitch is a knit front back increase, and you'll place a marker in between the knit into the front and the knit into the back. I like to use a distinctive marker in this place since this marker now marks the beginning of the round. Once you've placed a marker to mark the beginning of the round, you'll join in the round and work to the end of the round. I like to give that first stitch a little tug to make sure the join is nice and tight, and then continue working with a normal tension. Once you've joined in the round, you can see how the selvage edge creates the neck opening of the cowlette and how stretchy that edge is. The next step is to work the lace section of the pattern using the charts or the written directions, which is pretty straightforward, so we are going to skip to the last step, which is the bind off, and we are using the very stretchy lace bind off. So when you're ready to bind off, you want to remove your marker, and using the larger needle, you will first knit 2, and then slip those 2 stitches back to the left needle before knitting them together through the back loops. Then you will slip that stitch back to the left needle and knit it together with the next stitch through the back loops. And you will repeat this step all the way around the cowlette until you come to the last stitch. Once you've completed the bind off, break the yarn and pull the tail through the last stitch to secure your knitting. The lace bind off leaves plenty of stretch so that you can block the edge into points between the eyelets. The final step is blocking your cowlette. I recommend wet blocking the first time because you have the most control over the fabric, and after that, unless your cowlette gets dirty, you can steam block it to refresh the shape. Check out my other video on steam blocking for tips on that. After you've soaked your cowlette and removed as much water as possible, lay it on its side on a blocking mat or towel and pin out the edges into points between the pairs of eyelets. Once it's about 75% dry or so, you can unpin it and lay it flat to try to eliminate any creases. Hopefully the tips in this video help you get the very best for my pattern, and if you still have questions, feel free to ask me in the comments. Pick up the pattern on Ravelry or Etsy or on my website karinaspencer.com and use hashtag Zuzu's Petals Cowlette on Instagram to share your project. Thanks for watching. I'll see you soon.